Hello friends, in this video I'm going to talk about something for my beginning students out there, and we're going to talk about concept, clarity, and tension. Now, how does this apply to drumming? First of all, you have to have a concept of the function of the drums in music. You are not a timekeeper in the band for everybody to just depend on you for the time. You are the director. Have you ever seen, like in a big orchestra, the director out in the front conducting with his baton? Well, that's what you are. You are conducting, directing the band. How do you do that? It's a question of the function of the kit, the orchestration that you provide on the kit is giving signals and messages to the other players in the band. Now, while it's true that the function of the kit changes according to genre, in some genres, the cymbals have a more prominent role. In other genres, the bass drum and the snare is where the time is generated, the main feel of the time. While that is true, the function and the overall concept of how you operate in music is universal almost through all different styles. Now let me just say something. You all heard the term, keep it simple, stupid, right? Well, I think that is the stupidest term that I've ever heard in music. That was created by producers when they have a really inexperienced musician in the studio and they have to do an album and they just want the guy to just play, for example, doot, dot, doot, and nothing else. Keep it simple, stupid. In reality, there's nothing simple about playing music. What are you doing when you play music on drums? First of all, you are maintaining form and structure. Through the function of form and structure, you create a compositional tool called tension and release. You have to know how to create the tension and when to release the tension, and that is done according to form structure. If you have no idea about form structure or playing within a song, then you're just going to play random beats and change the beat every bar, hit the crash wherever you want. That's not having a concept of the function of drums, you know what I mean? So there's nothing simple about it. There are many tiers of knowledge that you have to have just to function in music. Another thing you're doing is that you're providing transition messages, going to the verse into the bridge or the chorus or B section, whatever it is. How do you do that? Through fills. Your fills are messages to the band that another section is coming up. If you don't know this, you'll just do a random fill every bar, every 2 bars, wherever you feel like it, and you don't know the function of the drum set, okay? Another thing that you should be using is dynamics and further microdynamics. Can you increase the tension of a song from beginning to end using only dynamics? Can you play double piano from the beginning of a whole song and increase it only to piano at the end of the song? Those are kind of microdynamics. Another thing that's very useful for creating tension and release like that in big structures is the use of stacking the voices. Stacking the voices means For example, using ghost notes while still maintaining a backbeat, right? In funk, for example. That's why you call it a ghost note. It's felt but not heard. Those are layers that increase the tension, increase the, let's say, volume of sound that you're putting out, okay? So microdynamics are very important. There's nothing simple about being able to play from piano or, let's say, forte to double forte at the end of a song, through the whole song. You have to gauge exactly when you're lifting the volume and all that kind of stuff, okay? So now, fills and feel can be acquired through culture. Now, why do I say that? Because this thing, music, is like a language. You know, everybody knows that. Through culture, you acquire a feel for a style. If you're in the United States, more than likely you're probably going to be exposed to a lot of rock. So you are acquiring this language through culture. Now, why do I say acquiring? Because you have to realize acquiring a musical language is different than learning it, like, say, in a classroom or out of a book. You just cannot do it out of a book. Maybe in a book you'll have some fills and stuff like that, but you can't get the real feel of, for example, a great jazz drummer unless you're sitting right in front of him, right? That's acquisition through culture or exposure, okay? Now, a baby doesn't learn language in a classroom. You ever see a baby in a classroom writing stuff down? No, they learn it through cultural acquisition, all right? Now, it's the same thing if you were in Brazil, you're gonna sound like a Brazilian player. If you're in Cuba, you're gonna sound like a Cuban player. If you're somewhere in Africa or wherever, you're gonna sound like a player from whatever region you happen to be in. Even in Europe, although there's a wide variety of styles, you can tell the difference between a European drummer and a drummer from the States, for example. Now, I say Europe because I encompass that whole area of the world. I say South America, I mean, you know, Chile, Argentina, Brazil. When you take a player from those regions and make them play another style, they're going to sound like a transplanted stylist. Almost like if you're speaking with an accent in English, with a British accent. I know. That said, no one is the master of groove. Now, this is a controversial point that people don't seem to understand. There are so many grooves in the world. I've seen all these people on the internet, oh, he's the groove master and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. Are you the groove master of cumbia? Are you the groove master of music from Persia, from Greece? No, man. So many styles in music. You are not the master of groove. You have to investigate each feel and groove and how the time is generated and the style of music and everything. But you cannot be the master. The master implies someone who encompasses everything about it. Okay? Like Bruce Lee says, you are not the master until you die. And then you are the master. All right? Just think about that for a while. 1, 2. Now, of course, you can acquire the feel of different sorts of styles through culture. If you go to another country, if you go somewhere, if you want to learn samba, you go to Brazil. If you want to learn about Turkish music, you go to Turkey, right? If you want to learn about Greek music, you go to Greece, all stuff like that. But if you're an accomplished player, technically proficient, and you know how to study, you don't necessarily have to go over there. It's like learning a language like English or Spanish or whatever. You can learn it up to a certain point without having to be in that country where the language is spoken natively. I've seen this over and over and over and over. Top pros who can play great Afro-Cuban, great jazz, they're not in the States. Okay, there's some great players in South America that can play jazz and they sound like amazing, like they've been playing it their whole life in New York. It's pretty amazing. Don't get caught in the trap of thinking that you've got a style down because you can play a couple of patterns. I call that the tourist stuff, right? If you go try to learn Afro-Cuban, you know, I've seen a bunch of guys showing Gascara pattern. Don't think that because you know a couple of patterns that you can do the style already. You can play the genre. A lot of styles require deep rhythmic knowledge and research. It's not like you could just pick up a couple of patterns and suddenly you're playing Afro-Cuban. That's one of the styles. Intention. How does this apply to drumming? One of the greatest lessons I got in big band was from Steve Houghton when I was just a kid. And he said, come up with 3 fills for every figure you see here. He gave me a little chart with figures on it. Come up with 3 fills for every purpose. Why should you do this? Because when you're in the moment playing music, you don't want to let creativity stop you from performing the function of the drums. I've seen too many beginning guys, playing the song, and all of a sudden they try to come up with some new fill or put in something that they don't know. No, that's not the way to do it, all right? I'll let you in on a little secret. I still play some of the fills that I came up with when I was 19 years old in big band to hit certain figures. There are a lot of figures in big band that are repetitive. They might be in different songs, they might be in different tempos, styles, whatever, but they are basically the same thing rhythmically. Okay, let me give you an example. Here's a big band figure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba da da ba da ba. Ba da ba ba da ba, right? Composers will use that figure a lot. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. That's everywhere. You can find that in so many situations and charts. A lot of the fills that you need to hit those figures, especially when you're sight reading, you cannot depend on your creativity to come up with material for that moment. You have to be on autopilot. It has to just come out of you. Now what happens eventually, if you're very experienced, that all this turns into your own language and your own vocabulary. And then it flows out and then you can be creative. But at first, you have to come up with 3 ways to hit every figure and purpose. Now, what does that turn into? Let's say you have 10 purposes, okay? 10 purposes or 10 figures. That's already 30 fills that you need to have memorized and worked out. That's a lot of fills, all right? That's a lot. So think about it. Don't insert creativity because it burdens you with an additional task besides the function you have to have in that moment in music, okay? Eventually, like I said, it's all going to turn into your own thing and you'll be able to play creatively within those structures and everything else. Now, putting the fills in the right moment is a whole other thing. Your intention has to be very clear. What is the purpose of the fill that you're doing in that moment? Your intention when you go to play it. You can't sort of halfway play it. Maybe this will work. That's going to get you eaten alive, especially in a big band situation, and especially in a powerful style, whatever you're playing, rock or whatever. You need to do the fill with great intention to signal to the band where you're going, and you have to be someone who's, remember, conducting the band. Dat, doot, dat, doot, sta, boom, boom, whatever it is. Right? You have to have a clear intention so that everyone knows what you're doing and where the music is. Okay, my friends? Concept, clarity, intention. 3 things to think about for beginning players and maybe intermediate. And depending on what style you're going to learn, remember, you go back to being a beginner all over again. If I want to learn something from music from Somalia or whatever, I'm like a baby again. I have to figure out the patterns. I have to listen to the music. I have to see what the people, how they're dancing, how, that's cultural acquisition. I have to go through that process. So I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, if you want to study with me, the lesson site is waiting for you. $250 gets you into the full year program, $500 into the lifetime membership. Both of those programs have full support from me through email, video, WhatsApp, WeChat if you're in China. Also, we have hand consultations where for 1 hour I'll take a look at your hands and help you with your hand technique. Then we have online evaluations where you send me a video, I check out your playing, and I tell you what your plans should be in order to get better, to get to the next level, no matter what level you are at. Okay, my friends, thanks for watching this. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
Hi folks, it's Phil Maturano. I'm here to tell you about my new rhythm course. This course is meant for all musicians. It's going to give you a series of exercises using your body to absorb rhythmic cycles. Rhythmic cycles and the melodies of rhythmic cycles are the keys to your understanding about rhythm in a profound way. In a way that you're going to be able to apply it into music in a very practical and creative way. There's never been a study like this before, and I think you're going to be very happy once you get into it. There are 4 major rhythmic cycles that are essential in Western music. Do you know what they are? If not, it's time to come over and join us. Join us on my lesson site where it's all taking place. See you there.